Sports Stars and Coaches, Pete Fitzgerald here with Coaches on the Couch. Today I have the pleasure of sitting down with Gareth Williams and the infamous Australian boxing coach, who's a former Queensland boxing coach, also the National Identification Development Program with the Queensland Centre of Excellence. He's also running a great program called the EBC, which is the Elite Boxing Championship, which is on TV currently. Set out with a program, set out a big challenge or a BHAG, big hairy audacious goal, and at the end of the day he's actually achieved it. Now it's getting streamed live with all the amateur boxers that are out there. So I'd love to introduce Gareth to the couch and get more insight for you guys, so that way you can increase your sport and also for your coaches, so you can learn a little bit more from there. So welcome to the coach, Gareth.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So let's get in. First part is, let's look at why boxing, because I know you've got a background in football. Let's give it an understanding for the clients.
Why boxing? Okay, so I was originally a gymnast, and then I played rugby league. I actually played in England, and I played in the Queensland Cup, and I finished off in a team, Ipswich Jets, which most people know through Langer and the Walters boys. That's where they came from. So I played there, and this one year I was just having bad injuries through my work, and I was working in construction at the time, and I picked up an injury on side in my eye, and then did a rib and my back, and I remember ringing the coach at the time, who was Billy Gardner, and I just said, Bill, look, I think we got into like week 4 of the competition or something, so I was hampered all pre-season with injuries, and about the 4th round I rang him and I said, look, I'm just going to give this season a miss. It's not working for me. I'll see you next year. I'm just going to go down the local boxing club and the PCYC, it was Logan PCYC, and do a bit of fitness work, and that was the end of the rugby league. Boxing just grabbed hold of me. I loved the fact that I was working with people of all ages. In the gym there was Liam White, who's always been a big mentor of mine. He was the head coach, and he just I don't know. I don't know what it was, but something. I was married to boxing from then on, and then I suppose it took over my life. Fast forward another 10 years from when I started, and then I walked out of my old job and I set up boxing, business as well.
Which is where we are currently. It's the boxing shop.
The boxing shop, yeah.
Here at the Queensland Sport complex here in Nathan. So, if you see a lot of sweat dripping off me, I'm in the gym. Same with Gareth here, sitting out with the background here, which makes it even more authentic on that side. So, with your football background, which was interesting when we had a chat briefly, is because I played over in England, you played there, football, it led you to boxing. So, and then you've mentioned about the gymnast side of things. I know when we spoke previously, the philosophies and traits you've got out of that, they're the main things that you're probably taken into sport, that's taken into boxing today. So what philosophies and traits have you learned, and now that you impart onto your up-and-coming boxers and exercise in the gym?
I suppose general people would think that rugby league was probably closer to boxing than gymnastics would be. But gymnastics on any level is hard, but at an elite level, I was in the Western Australian Institute of Sport, we did a lot of hours there. We were training morning and night before school, and what I learnt more from gymnastics about boxing was that basic skills are everything. Basic skills are everything. Basic body positioning, core strength. I believe gymnastics is a sport that a lot of people should do at a young age, and it's something like they have adults gymnastics now. A lot of adults gymnastics beginners are coming in. It just gives you a really good base for your strength and your flexibility. But then, when I started, it probably as an athlete, I just did what I did. I was more of a footballer throwing punches, you know what I mean? But I probably started learning a little bit more towards the end of that, learning a little bit more about how can I bring when I started coaching and teaching people, I had to bring what I'd learned when I was young into it, and the explanations, and it just all came back to good body positioning, good basics, and that's what I try and get across to my the guys that come in here. So
you've touched on a very good point there, and it's something that I've learnt, from different sort of coaches as well. And even when we talk about Wayne Bennett, who he was one that sort of gave one of the influences as well that we spoke about before, that sort of give you a start into how to coach, and it all comes back to the basics. And it's interesting in the amount of coaches and players that are looking to go, I need to do this, I need to do that, but they haven't understood the basics first, which is the little things. And as you said, it could be technique, how to hold the hand, keep the hands up, which for elite players, it's keeping the hands up to catch the ball. The same difference from not wanting to get hit.
Exactly the same, like your footwork, your hand positioning, your shoulders, repetition, you've just got to do it. And if you're not willing to put that time into your basic elements, and think you're too fancy, you just want to do your Instagram videos and that sort of stuff, well, which tends to be the case nowadays with a lot of people want to go to that top immediately. Well, unfortunately, it takes time. Well, it's not unfortunate. If you're wanting to get there, you'll spend the time to do those things, right? The basic footsteps, the most boring stuff. I still have some guys that come in here and think they're above where they are, and it's always the new guys. It's always, when can I do this? When can I go to this, the next, or the elite class, or the next level? Well, my elite guys are doing exactly the same as you guys are beginners. Exactly the same. And we just recap. Tactically, I might have a few I need you to do this now, I need you to do this now, or specific to what's going on with that individual. But the minute anybody forgets basic elements of their sport or their business, it's over.
And you're right, it comes back to those little things which we always talk about. It's doing them consistently, and I'm learning more, and I teach the same thing. It's creating a new routine. It's like it's getting away from the word of habit, because sometimes habit has that negative connotation. It's creating a new routine, so you're consistently doing it, and it comes when. And most of the time, why good coaches teach that is because when you're under pressure, you'll always go back to your habit. And that's the biggest thing. If we learn to put those basics and you continually do it, whenever you're under pressure, you'll always have those basics there.
That's exactly one thing that I say to the guys that come through. If you learn good basics and that's what you know, when you're tired and under the pump, under pressure, where you're tired, you're fatigued, you will go back to good basics because that's all you've got. Whereas if you don't have good basics, you'll get really sloppy, and that shot's going to come and land on your chin, or
drop the hand. It only takes one drop hand.
It's not a good place to have a rest in there.
And which leads us today, like you've done the basics, you've trained. Now you're training elite boxers at the moment, Olympic boxers and professional boxers. Who currently are you training at the moment? So, especially with the Commonwealth Games coming up.
I had one guy, Jack Bowen, who he actually got picked at the final hurdle to make the Commonwealth Games team. But he's a kid for the future. He's he's going excellent. I've always also got professionals. Michael Black's just turned professional, who also won the Elite Boxing Championship. Jack Bowen obviously won that too, the Elite Boxing Championship. I've got professional boxer James McDonald. I have a lot of new guys coming through. In here we've had, again, professional boxer and two-time Olympian Brad Hoare as well, an Indigenous guy. I train a lot of athletes, and I suppose the one I've had since a kid, Jack Bowen. He's he turned up here as a fat little grade 9 kid that was struggling at school, and when his mum, once she found out that he loved boxing, I think he was 12 or 13. When she found out that he loved boxing that much, well, she could use it against him, and that was get your grades up or you're not going, and that was excellent.
And that comes down to probably the next question is, over your time you've been boxing and you've seen the different sort of changes, how has boxing changed lives? I know it has a negative connotation in a lot of eyes, but from my own experience of watching and learning and not being involved heavily in the boxing, but the changes it has in a lot of lives, because I've got a great mate who runs one down in Sydney, PCYC, and the stories he has in regards to taking the kids off the street. In your experience here, how have you seen boxing has changed lives for the kids that you've had, or even some of the coaches?
Yeah, so Look, it's true. It changes lives. Boxing does change lives, and what it is, once every people in this gym, they're all on the same level. So I might have a doctor, which I do, and a kid that's been bullied, and also the bully. All these guys are all on the same level, and they're all brought down to this level, and there tends to be a lot more respect within the group when they know they're from all different backgrounds. When I'm saying that, those kids and the doctors, it's only one day a week they come together, those guys, they come together, because I do believe that each kid needs their time to grow. So we have the beginner, junior squads and intermediate, and we advance, and then same with the adults. But as far as changing lives, I've had kids that have come in. I remember this one kid, a young Indigenous boy, come in. He was holding his mum's leg and he was crying his eyes out, and he didn't want to come in. Well, fast forward, this guy was never going to jump in the ring. Like, it was hard enough him crossing the threshold to come in the door, you know. So anyway, you fast forward probably 2 years, and he ended up going to a national championships, winning a state championship, and he had some contests. He was still the nice kid, very quiet and a little bit timid, but it helped him grow. And now he's a man doing his own thing. And if that's what boxing can create on that level, that's not always at that top, that elite level. To me, boxing's not always about that elite level. I get the big kick from the 10-year-old having his first fight too. So, you know, like I said, the main thing it does, it brings everybody on that same level. It brings everybody on that same level. There's no egos. There's nobody thinks they're better than each other. And to be honest, when a young guy that's starting out first starts, it's better to put him in with an experienced guy, because he'll work with him, rather than two novices who don't know the size of their power and they just start swinging from the hills and everything. I get sort of kids that I'm, say in a kids group, kids that aren't they're not leaders. So I get them to, okay, after they've feel comfortable, started chatting with the guys, or the one day they lead a warm-up, or they might give us a sit-ups exercise or something like that. And I gradually try and give them leadership skills as well, so they come more confident, rather than just being a student in that class.
That's a great point. I've been listening and reading a little bit, and I was actually listening to Tony Robbins on the way here. He was talking about leadership, and something you mentioned then is, and it's a great point, is that you're giving people that are still learning, but they've learned enough to then now go and teach the others. And one of the things I've learned over the time is the best way of learning is to teach.
I remember, I don't know how long, it was a few years ago, I remember watching the football, and Tim Sheens, I don't know if it was a club game or an international game, but I remember this interview where Tim Sheens said, I wish all athletes could be coaches first, and they could do it the other way around, because then they would get it. You know, they would get how to explain things, and they'd get how to play the game a lot better, rather than just the ego-driven athletes sometimes at a young age, and that's just a part of being young. But yeah, when you've got a group, if I've got a group of 10, this is just an example of what happens quite often. If I've got a group of 10, and 8 kids get it the one way I say it, and 2 kids don't get it that way. At first I'm thinking, when I first started coaching, why don't these kids get it? Like, these 8 kids do, why doesn't these 2 kids get it? I was talking generally here. Well, and then I started realising I've got to say it differently. It's me. I don't look at them, why aren't they getting it? I think, how does my explanation have to be better to these? So, okay, I noticed these guys have got it, so I can, go to the 2. And this one I say a little bit of a different way and a little bit of a different way to this guy, and then eventually they all tend to get it. But it's individualism, you know, everybody's an individual, and we train groups, but they're also, to make up that group, they're also individual pieces in that group too.
Yeah, and that's a point you pointed, which is great to hear, that, you know, you look at, I see a lot of coaches, and this especially like with dealing with younger ones that are coming through, so many coaches go into it with the thought to win at all costs, and forget about teaching some of the young kids that don't need. And in a lot of cases, like even in the rugby league circles of the kids, most of them are coming to us because of getting away from the environment that they're in, and this makes it a good environment. But if you're treating them that way, they're not learning at the same time, so they end up going off and do something else. But it comes down to the coach is how you educate. And one of the old cliches is the KISS theory, keep it simple, and it comes back to speaking to a 5-year-old. A 5-year-old can understand you, then you'll be able to do it. So I know there's about 4 different types of learnings.
Yeah.
So how you communicate depends on, those two have got a different type of learning. So they come in and go, okay, well, I need to do it differently here and here. Where a lot of coaches go, this is my way, and that's the only way, and then they lose half their group.
Yeah, I think coaches have to look at themselves a lot more, and good coaches do. Good coaches do. You look at, and to me, it's not about new kids, and when I'm talking young kids, I'm talking guys that start boxing at 8 to 12, or even their first few. It's not about winning at everything. Because in boxing, one win or lose, it's very personal.
Yeah.
And if a kid wins 3 or 4 on the bounce, you try to go telling your mates at school that you lost 3 or 4 fights in a row. It's not a great thing to say to your friends. Your friends can be your enemy sometimes when it comes to that, or they're the first one to ride you and tease you and that sort of stuff. So I just believe, like you said, you've got to treat all these guys as an individual, we move forward from there.
Great, which leads me to the next one. With sport, we mentioned, we spoke earlier about one of and it was a surprise to me, but who is a good role model in sport, especially for boxing today?
So I've got one in boxing that everybody would know, and I've got one that majority of people would probably go the other way. Jeff Horn, excellent.
Yep.
Teacher. Great kid. He used to come in here for sparring. Glenn used to bring him down. Glenn Rushton used to bring him down for sparring before he even had his first fight. And I remember he was just always a nice kid, nice family, who worked hard, And so he's the real clean cut, a kid that worked hard, that was bullied at school. He's a great role model for anybody to look up to. He's the perfect role model for, if I honestly believe I can do this, I can. Because guess what? He was not supposed to beat Manny Pacquiao.
Yep.
Him and his team, just belief that Manny Pacquiao cannot beat me. I'm me. And not in a boasting way, it's all about self-belief. Another one that's a great role model that people might be a little bit shocked, or because they read the media, and generally we see the media without knowing the person, is Anthony Mundine. You tell me, I know he says some things in the media and I get that.
Yeah.
Okay? The way boxers are paid is by people coming to see you. Not many other people in boxing Australia earn that sort of money that Anthony Mundine's earning, because people know who he is. Exactly. Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't really like him when he was boxing. A few years later, he's the greatest of all time. And he is, But Anthony Mundine isn't. You imagine if you've got kids, okay? This is an athlete who's believed he's destined to be somebody if he works hard since he's a kid. I don't know, I didn't know him when he was a kid, or I've got friends that are really close with him now. But he's just always had this belief. He's never smoked, never had a drink, never touched drugs, never been in any trouble. So why isn't that a perfect role model? Because you know what? He says what he wants to achieve, and generally Australians in the public, he's not there, you know what I mean? We talk them down. But if you met the man himself, and people know the real Monday. Look, I'm like I said, I know him. I've got friends that are really close with him. Like my best mate, he trains him now as well. So that's Chris McCullum, and every time I've met him, he's always been perfect. He's come to a couple of one of my boxing shows and supported the guys, and does a lot of work in the community. He's great with kids. I remember one time when I was a fan, myself and my friend went down to watch him. He was fighting Ricky Thornberry. We went to a weigh-in, and all he did, the official, there was like a time schedule. You had to be on the scales, then you had to go and do a press conference. All he did, there was that many kids and people there that wanted autographs. He just spent his time with every single person before he had to do his So you tell me that's a bad person. He's giving back to who want to speak to him. And I believe, and I'm not 100%, you probably have to ask him about this. I've heard a story that when he was young, I'm not even going to say the person because that he went up, asked for an autograph, and he got brushed away. And he said, when he was young, I believe he was about 14 years old, I believe he said, I'm never going to do that when I make it.
So that's it, like Jonathan First is another good example.
Yes, exactly.
Giving back and all that sort of stuff, and giving back because yes, Anthony's a great showman, and I've talked about this the last couple of weeks in regards to puts bums on seats, and people want to come there, they pay the money to get him knocked out. But as I said, and they're the things a lot of people don't understand about sport and how people getting there. You've got to see what's behind the scenes first before you take the judgment, because media now is, without getting into political stuff, there's a lot of stuff we see is just not true to who the person is.
That's right. So
with the advice you've had through coaching, through your own upbringing and so forth, to get there, what's some of the advices that you give to kids today or our sports stars are looking at coaches, that probably 3 pieces of advice you would say they need to do if they want to change anything?
I suppose through my father, it was always work hard. Always work hard, and you'll make it happen. As I've got older, I'm getting into a little bit more of the self-belief. Well, not a little bit more. I'm all about self-belief. If you believe it, it's just Jeff Horn, Anthony Mundine, the people that I've spoke about. If you believe it, you can make it happen. But you've got to really, truly believe it. So they're two. Self-belief.
Working hard, definitely, because if you've got that self-belief, you've got to work hard to get
That's right, to make it happen. You can set your goal. You don't just set your goal, forget about it, and expect it to happen. You set your goal, and then you work towards it. You keep one step at a time. And one thing I say to the guys, it's a bit of a saying, but how do you eat an elephant? Well, if you look at that big elephant, so big, I'm not going to eat that. But if you take one bite at a time, eventually you'll eat it.
Perfect. Great example.
So one step at a time, I suppose.
Yep. Good stuff. Now with the, I want to touch a little bit on the EBC, the Elite Boxing Championship, which come out of belief as well. Very audacious goal out there, and thinking you're crazy, but look where it is today. Give us a breakdown quickly of how it started, from how the idea came about, and then where it is today. And how long ago was this?
So it was probably about a year ago, 18 months ago, that I started having this chat with a guy at the gym, and it was like, I remember one Friday, Friday, what are you doing tonight? Oh, I'm going home, watch the footy. And it was, who's playing? He said to me, who's playing? I don't know, but I'm watching the footy, because I know the footy's on. At 7 o'clock or 7:30 or whatever time it's on. And the conversation went to, you never know when boxing's on. You know that Anthony Joshua's fighting this weekend, and you'll tune in, or you might miss because it's only on once here and once there, all over the shop. So from this chat started, we need to know that boxing's on at the same time every week. So my crazy minds thought up this plan of, imagine if we could get a knockout tournament where you get 2 chances, so you're not just one, you're out, you get 2 chances, because a lot of times in boxing, especially in 3-round elite boxing fights, judges and all those sort of things come into it. So we thought, well, imagine if you had a competition, you've got 2 opportunities. If you rolled once, well, you've got another opportunity, you've got another chance. And it'd be great to do it in a round robin series, and it was on the same time every week on TV. So 7:30 Tuesday night, the boxing's on. So anyway, we did a deal with ESPN, and we had to raise all this sponsorship money, and it was hard. And we got 10 weeks in a row of boxing on ESPN. So it wasn't live. We had to cut it up and get all the fighters. We had 32 athletes from coming all over. We had all over the Asia Pacific region. Then we had injuries and things happen, and it was crazy doing our heads in. We had to raise the sponsors at the same time. We had to work well with Boxing Queensland and Boxing Australia, who were great. because they could see the vision going forward, get our sport on television, create profiles for these kids and keep it moving. First one's finished now, but the replay's getting shown on ESPN at the moment. So, look, that came from a want and a passion and a belief, and that these guys in the boxing world don't have a profile. We don't know who they are. You tell me, I'm just throwing this out there. You tell me two guys that are going to the Commonwealth Games for boxing.
Got no idea.
It's not. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So what our plan was to give these guys names.
Yep.
So it's not just a one hit at the Olympics or Commonwealth Games and we wouldn't know.
Yep.
It's just people don't know. So I believe we need to build a profile. These kids can be stars, and from there, more recognition, which means sponsorship dollars. We can run the sport professionally.
Yep.
We start running the sport professionally, and
So they're amateur boxers at the moment, if I understand.
they're amateur. But the word amateur is not supposed to exist at the moment in the current AIBA governing body. It is sorry.
You're right.
So the word amateur is not supposed to exist at the moment, because guys can get prize money.
Yeah.
It's not big prize money, but they can. A lot of them, most of them don't. To be honest, don't get a cent.
Yeah.
So it's a format where they're allowed to box at the Olympic Games and the Commonwealth Games and the World Championships. So professional boxers aren't allowed to do that.
Yep.
Recently, they've made a rule where professional boxers can come back to the amateur system. If they go back to the professional system, they'll never be allowed back to box at Olympics or Commonwealth Games.
Okay.
It's a different sport. This is a 3-round sport.
Yeah.
Elite professional boxing, major fights, world championship fights are booked over 12 rounds. So you've got Carl Lewis running against Mo Farah. You know what I mean? It's a sprinter against a distance, a distance athlete. So that's how the sports are different. There's a lot of people wanting to grow the sport and doing it right, but like in any system, there's always a few hurdles.
Yeah.
So the Elite Boxing Championship, getting with the TV, is to run this event annually.
Yep.
Keep building it, and look, eventually we'd like to get on, commercial television.
Perfect. And with the EBC show, when are we looking to see that?
So as far as we're probably this year, the live event will be possibly in July. We're looking at, and then it'll probably hit the television late August, September.
Cool. We can easily go with that one there, and at least that gives us a bit more insight. For young and upcoming boxers that didn't know this existed, now it could be a way of channeling into Gareth here at the boxing shop. That's one way. So on a lighter note, if you had an opportunity to sit down with 3 people in history and have dinner with and have a chat with, who would those 3 people be?
So my favourite ever rugby league player is Ellery Hanley.
I had the privilege of playing with him at Balmain.
You would have. So you know the ability that guy had.
Yep.
So
And
Ellery
charisma.
Hanley, he's such a gentleman and so professional as well. So Ellery Hanley, just 2 days ago, my dad was at my place and I was just watching old YouTube videos on the smart TV about, what about when he did this? What about when he did this? And my dad said, when my dad was finishing his career at Halifax, he was in the second team, so they called the A team over there. Ellery was in the A team of Bradford, and they actually played a game against each other then. Not that they ever knew each other, and I don't know Ellery, but he's one that I just love the way he speaks. I watched a chat show again the other day, a few years ago he did it. He was sat down with Sean Edwards and Martin Fye, and they were talking about those Wigan glory years. I could have sat there forever and just stayed silent and listened to this man. He's something else. Lennox Lewis, in my eyes, the greatest ever boxer. Knew how to use a jab, had good power, great big man, charisma and style. Man, he's the coolest guy going around is Lennox Lewis. Like, he's big and strong. And I remember seeing an article of the great Muhammad Ali saying, I'm not the greatest anymore, Lennox Lewis is. And that is one big rap from the greatest. To me, that was excellent. So Lennox Lewis is a similar sort of character to Ellery Hanley, I would believe. I don't know either of them. but as far as business-like approach, as far as the stories they could tell,
Yep.
very business-like, but you can still have a laugh with them as well.
Yeah.
And the other one, I don't know if a lot of people in the sporting world would know this guy. His name is Justin Herald. So when I first started getting into business, Attitude Clothing.
That's
Yeah.
it, yeah.
So when I first started working for myself, well, I was earning like $20 a week and living in my mate's garage and training my mate's brother and his girlfriend at the time, charging them $10 each, and I was earning $20 a week. And I just had this belief that I wanted to be successful in sport because I'd walked away from my construction life at the time. And Justin Herald's was this. I don't know even how it fell into my lap. I got hold of this this book, and I've read quite a few of them now, about 3 or 4. And I think it was, Would You Like Attitude with That? I think that might have been the name. I can't remember exactly the title, but I remember reading it and how he started in his garage with this name, Attitude, and it was all about the attitude. But his brand was, look, you could look at it as a t-shirt with the word attitude on, but the brand behind it was about what attitude do you have? And he was a big influence on me when I started, because I actually started another clothing brand with Right Cross, which now Right Cross has all boxing equipment and lots of different things. But yeah, he was an amazing man, and I've occasionally reached out to him on LinkedIn, just nothing, but he's always sent a message back. Like a guy, he'll be multi-million-dollar now, and doing very successful things with lots of things, in public speaking and everything now. But I'd like to really have a sit down with him and have a chat. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, you've got great attributes about them, and it goes back to, in a lot of ways, look at the 2 pieces of advice is working hard and the self-belief, and all 3 of them have the exact same traits that have got them to the success they've had.
And sorry if I can just say, I think anybody that's successful has got that story and those same values. Whether you're on your way to be successful, and a lot of successful people don't go, whoa, I hit my goal, pat myself on the back, it's what's next.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? So you never actually feel like I've done great, but when other people look at you, you know what I mean, you've done well.
They only see this part, they don't see the closed behind closed doors part to it. Which comes to our last part. Now, the final curtain comes down. How do you want to be remembered with your life, and what purpose have you left behind?
I think that I helped people. I think that, look, it's nice to be. It'd be nice. What about when he trained this guy and did this? And what about? But I've always worked hard, and I've tried to do the right thing.
Yep.
I've had offers to have success quicker, and I've turned them down. Like financial success quicker, and I've turned those down. That was early days when you sort of want some money because you're just struggling on your bones of your bum. But I set up this gym with relationships. I think I want to be a guy that could build good relationships with good people around them, and I think I help people. I like to think that I help people.
The great one there is about building relationship, connecting people, and creating a culture, which is
That's right.
So Gareth, thank you very much for On the Couch, Coaches on the Couch. Now for the Sports Stars coaches, I hope you gained a lot out of this. I know I have. It's a pleasure sitting here learning more about an Australian coach, Queensland boxing coach, and all started from a rugby league player having injuries. And it's only 18 years ago, so it's all about the processes. So until next week, Coaches on the Couch, all the best, and look forward to speaking to you then. Bye-bye.